Yo guys, my name's Jamie, and this is my life. So before we get started, I just want to say thank you to all of my subscribers, and basically I'm doing this just to let you guys know the journey I took to get where I am now. So thank you, because you guys are actually a big part of this story. I was born in Norwich, England. That's basically the little bum that comes off England. A couple of 100 miles north of London. I was the second of 5 siblings at £7 13 ounces. So I think a pretty standard baby, really. Obviously charming and good looking, but that's just standard, I think, for the genetics in my family. My mother and father were high school sweethearts with clearly amazing genetics, since they managed to create me, an almost perfect human specimen. I think we can all agree on that. But as you can see, I got the looks, I got the charm, but unfortunately I got very little artistic skill. That's about my only flaw, I would imagine. I was a very curious child, often taking things apart to try and figure out how they work. Of course, this didn't really go down well with my parents, but instead of punishing me, they would actually give me already broken things to try and fix. And I wouldn't give up until I managed to figure out how they worked and repair them. Now, I actually don't have that many memories of my father. He was around for a while, but then he'd disappear for months on end. My mum told me that he helped design and build movie sets, but honestly I'm not 100% sure if that is true. But I like to believe it is. I always imagined as a child that he was going off and building these amazing sets for these movies that you'd never know were sets, and I always liked that, the creative side of it all, and just the idea that he was going off and doing something amazing, that settled well with me. I was okay with that. But then one day he just didn't come back. We knew he was still alive somewhere, but I guess he just didn't want to be with us anymore. I just remember at this point distracting myself with movies, games, and just anything that could get me out of the real world. Now, I hated school. I really hated school. We moved around a lot when I was quite young, so I went to a lot of different schools. Had to make new friends every single time and try and catch up on everything I'd missed in lessons. This became very difficult over the years. But somehow, I don't know how, I actually made it into college and got into the course I wanted to do, and ended up loving every single moment of it. A couple of my friends were unsure as to what course they wanted to do, and as soon as I explained to them the course I wanted to do, they all jumped on board as well. So I got to go through college with a couple of my friends, which was really nice, and I'm still friends with these people today. I remember in the first lesson, the lecturer came in and explained that no one was actually forcing us to be there, and if we wanted to, we could just walk out with no consequences. So one of my friends actually got up, just said screw this, and walked out, just to see if he could. And it was absolutely fine. That was a fun day. And this was the first time I remember I really felt like an adult, like having the freedom and knowing that I was here because I wanted to be here. I actually wanted to learn. It was a weird experience for me, but I loved it. The idea that it was mine and I wasn't being forced to do it really made me work quite hard to get to where I wanted to be. Now at this point, I met a girl. She had lovely long red hair, and before long actually ended up becoming my girlfriend. Now after college, I somehow managed to fall into a very well paid computing job, and before I knew what was going on, I had a mortgage, I had 2 dogs. Oh, and I proposed to my girlfriend and she said yes. Things were actually going great for me. It was brilliant. For the first time in my life, I thought, wow, if this is what being an adult is like, I'll take it. I will take this. I had my own house. I could do what I want with it. I didn't have this massive, I didn't have 4 other siblings trying to annoy me every day. I had a great girlfriend, and honestly, I absolutely loved my job. Things couldn't be better. But of course, like in every story, this is where things get complicated. In 2015, one of our dogs, Taz, died of old age. He'd been in my family for actually 15 years. After all of my siblings moved away, my mum couldn't look after him anymore, so we took him on, and we had him for a couple of years, and then one day he just fell asleep in my arms, and it's a moment I'll never forget. I love you, Taz. You were my best friend, and I still miss you. And just a few months later, my fiance and I went and got married. It was honestly an amazing day. I'd never felt so nervous and happy at the same time. It was such a weird experience, and I remember during the day just thinking, oh, I kind of want it to be over because of how nervous I felt, but looking back, I had such an amazing time. It was a really, really magical day. And although I did still have Taz on my mind, I knew that this was the next chapter in my life, and he'd be so happy to have seen us. But then, Christmas Eve 2015, my brother called me to let me know that our father had gone to hospital and shortly after passed away. Now, like I said, I only have a handful of memories of him, but the ones I have are actually all happy. I remember he'd always come in, he'd always randomly turn up late at night and just bring us lots of sweets and make us brevels or toasties. I think they're called toasties, but we called them brevels, and they were like these toasted sandwich things basically. And I remember absolutely just loving him for that. And I know now that he wasn't a good father, but he was almost like a good friend when I was a child. So I always loved him for that. But it's weird, like you don't really realize how much someone affects you until they're gone. Like as a kid, I always just thought that one day he'd kind of realize his mistake and come back and just tell us all that he still loved us. But life doesn't work that way sometimes. Life is complicated. People are complicated, humans, and obviously that didn't happen. Then with Taz and my father gone, I didn't know what life meant or who I was meant to be anymore. I just couldn't. I couldn't do anything. I didn't know it at the time, but this was a very clear sign of depression. Now, I don't know why I did this, but I tried my best to hide it from my friends and family. But once I was back at home, back in my own head, I felt like I was drowning. And even if it was possible to scream for help, no one would hear me anyway. I wasn't Jamie anymore. A few days, weeks, months passed this way, and it was becoming impossible to hide. And that's when my wife had a bit of a crazy idea. Why don't we just quit our jobs, sell everything, and get away from everyone? And at the time, I have to say I was kind of scared of it, but I didn't really feel much anymore. So I thought, yeah, screw it, let's just do it. Let's do it, let's go. And so we did. I bought a van and I converted it into a camper van, and we drove through to Scotland for a while, then came down and went through France, through Spain, Portugal, back up through Spain and France, into Switzerland, through Luxembourg, in Belgium, came back home, flew to India, then went to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore, Australia. She left me in Australia. She said she just wanted to be by herself now. And I tried. I really tried traveling alone. Like, I just couldn't. I couldn't do anything. So I just went home, back to England. Jamie had been in this black pit for so long. He couldn't even see the surface anymore. But if he closed his eyes, he could hear his family, his friends, the people that love him, calling for him. They've always been there, just out of sight, ready to help. Jamie finally reaches up his arm and gets yanked to the surface. I spent the next 6 months in therapy and surrounded by my friends and family. I couldn't bear to be alone. I had to learn, very slowly I learned that some things just can't be fixed, no matter how hard you try. And sometimes drowning a little is actually the only way we learn to swim. Now, honestly, I'm so lucky to have such great friends and a really supportive family who helped me find myself again. I don't know if I've ever said this out loud, but I just want to say thank you to everyone that went out of their way to help me at this point. It was really the lowest point of my entire life, and without them, I just don't know what I would have done or where I would be. And that's where you two came in. I was feeling myself more myself than I had done for years, and in late 2019, something happened, like a light bulb went off. An idea. I was struck by lightning. I wanted to help people like me, get through their hardships. But how could I do that? I was still recovering myself. Was that even a good idea? I don't know. I still don't know. I thought, you know what I could do? There was one thing that's always helped me through the time, and that was just binge watching random YouTube videos. Things that would take me out. And much like when I was a kid, I liked to get out of the world for a little while, just things to distract me, play games, watch movies, anything. So maybe YouTube. That was my first thought, actually. Maybe YouTube. So I got up one day, got dressed, and I know they sound like normal things for everyone else, but at the time I was still struggling with that part. Getting out of bed and getting dressed was the hardest thing in the world, but I did it. And I made a video. I watched some Red Dwarf, and you know what? I actually had a good time. So I got up the next day and I did it again and again, and I saw that subscriber count: 1, 10, 100, 1,000. So what the hell's going on? This is ridiculous. Why would people watch someone so broken? I don't understand. But I was loving it. It's really weird how you can struggle to get out of bed one day, and then within a week you're recording, editing, reading all of these lovely comments from people every single day. And it helped me stay sane. It was the thing that motivated me every single day. I'd wake up and the first thing I'd do is see if I had any new comments and see what people thought, and take the criticism and see that some videos didn't get many likes, or they would get dislikes, but that's fine. It's a growing process. It happens over time, slowly. And I loved every minute of it. I couldn't contain it. I wasn't even taking days off. I just loved it so much. And that's you guys. That's all of you. That's you waking up and seeing all of these comments from hundreds or thousands of people every single day, telling me off for being annoying, or wondering what's behind me on the wall, or just silly things, or maybe even commenting on the video that I was trying to make. And I loved that. I loved that people were just having a good time. They were writing these, really, my favourite comments are the random ones that I never expect at all. The ones where people just say, You know, they ignore everything that I've talked about in the video, and they just say, "Oh, I like your hair." It's like, "Oh, thank you." That's not really what I was on there for, but thank you very much. And they always make me smile. They make me laugh, and that's something that's really kept me going. Now, I've been doing it for a year, over a year, and obviously a year's a long time, and I feel a lot better, way better. In fact, this is the most I've felt like myself in many years. I thought that Jamie was truly gone once, and now he's back stronger than ever, taking all the criticism, enjoying all the comments, talking to people on Patreon every day, and really having a really good time. Just a genuinely good time. And knowing that I'm good enough for people to want to subscribe to, that just doesn't seem right in my head sometimes. And I get it. I watch some of my videos back. Obviously, I have to edit them, but I watch them back and I make myself laugh. And it's usually just me being silly, and that's kind of what I love the most. And that's the thing I love about other YouTubers as well. If they can make me laugh, they can make themselves laugh and make me laugh, then I feel like they're a friend. They're there with me. They're not worried about my mental health or how I'm doing or if I've been outside that day or anything along those lines. They're just there to entertain. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And suddenly I'm trying to give that a go as well. And you know what? I love it. And it's the thing that's kept me going every single day. And it's something that I really, truly enjoy. And it is all because of you guys. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say again, thank you. I owe so much to you all. You guys are seriously the best. And on that note, as always, I'll see you in the next video.